Not doing a show today, obviously because my internet is not working, so I'm on data on my phone, so I'll do a live stream here, and I'll just wait for people to jump in here, and I'll kind of do just kind of questions, answers, trip review, different things like that. So let's see how it goes. I'll wait for some people to jump in here and see how it goes. But anyhow. Still trying to get used to the United States time. We got back 2 days ago. I spent 23 hours traveling, and we left Rome, Italy, at 6 o'clock on Rome time in the morning, and we didn't get back till like 6:30 in Chicago time. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the reason I'm doing a live stream like this today is because my internet's not working, so I'm on data right now on my phone. So we'll do this as long as we can, and I'll try to keep up on the chats as much as I can, and we'll see how it goes. But if you guys have any questions, about the trip, about my honeymoon, obviously not too private stuff, but anything that's going on, let me know what you guys are thinking. We got Third Day Gambler checking in. Good morning. And anyhow, so like I said, I got back 2 days ago. I spent 23 hours traveling to get back from Rome, and it was just an awful day. Just an awful day getting back. We were supposed to leave the hotel at 6 o'clock in the morning. We're supposed to have a ride from the hotel to the airport, which is about a 45-minute drive between where I was staying and the Rome airport. Thank you, 30 again. And our ride never showed. So luckily, we're about one block away from where all the taxi cabs assemble, and so we were able to get a taxi cab ride. It cost like €55 to go from the hotel over to the airport, and we got over there. And then once I got to the airport, I was supposed to go to the VAT tax return. I bought a large gift for my son for Christmas, and I paid like it was $120 some in taxes for this gift, and I was supposed to get a little bit over half that money back. But they did not give me the money back because I had the gift sent to my house, and I needed it on my person in order for them to give me a return. So that kind of sucked. So that was I bit that cost on that. So we got on the airplane, and we were delayed. Our departure was delayed once we got on the airplane. So we actually sat on the airplane for almost 2 hours before they allowed us to take off. So we took off, flew from Rome to Detroit, and got to Detroit, and everything went relatively smooth there. And then we got back to Chicago in 6:30 local time, and then we get home probably around 10:30 the night because I live about 4 hours away from Midway Airport in Chicago. We did not go to Chicago O'Hare. Actually went out of Midway and that. But we got 12 people that are watching right now. Only 2 people have said hi. Make sure you say hi. Please drop some questions in so we can talk about the cruise. If you don't know what happened, is I went on a cruise for my honeymoon. Mary and myself went from Manitowoc, Wisconsin. We flew to Rome, Italy. We spent 2 days in Rome. During the first 2 days, we took a tour of the Vatican, and we just did a lot of walking around. Good morning, Gary. Did a lot of walking around Rome as much as we could. We probably put in the first 2 days, probably, I don't know, 6-7 miles worth of walking. Just trying to find our bearings, trying to find what's going on, how to get around Rome. It was a major culture shock there, I will say that. We tried to figure out their subway system, which they call the Metro, and they basically have 2 Metro lines that go. It's a A and a B, or an orange and red, or a blue line. And once we figured it out, that gave us a little bit more mobility. It was kind of cool. You just take your credit card, you scan the credit card, and it'll let you on. And Mary and I could ride around Rome anywhere for up to 111 minutes for basically $1.76. So it was pretty cheap. I I should say 1.76 euro is what it was. So it was like $2.50 American money. So once we figured it out, we got around a little bit and had some good Italian meals. Most of the restaurants in Rome were restaurant style, where you sit outside. Good morning, Brian. Hello, hello. Um, if you're just joining in, I'm doing this type of live stream here because my internet's not working at home here. I need to figure out why it went out probably about 15 minutes ago. And I don't know if the line went down or what happened. I have no idea. But anyhow, the restaurants there, a lot of them we just sit outside the restaurant at a table. They have, canopies or overhangs, and then they did kind of that misting cooling system to keep it cool because it was the first couple of days we were in Rome was over 95 degrees, 93, 95, somewhere around the range. It was hard to. I did lose weight, Brian. I did eat a ton on my vacation. I only gained like 2 pounds, but I'm actually down. Prior to the trip, I was down 45 pounds. So this camera makes me look nice and thin. So hopefully I did decide to go to Vegas in September for the Craps for the Cure, and hopefully I'll be down probably 55, 60 pounds total by that time. So that's why if you're watching my show now, I call myself medium-sized Joe now, not a big Joe. But anyhow, we did the meals and that. Spent 2 days in Rome, like we said. Thank you, Brian. I'm not ready to go back and wrestle. I could probably make about 2 minutes worth of exercise, and then I'll be like dying here. But anyhow, we spent 2 days in Rome, and then we took another excursion, and we did a 7-day cruise. So the port for Rome was like about an hour train ride. So we got on a train at Termini station in Rome, and that was an experience and a half. I've never rode on a train. We got our ticket, and you had to run up to the top level and watch your train station be called, and then you had basically 15 minutes to get from the train station or from the boards to the train itself. And we got on there, and we were packed like sardines, and some of the Rome people, Roma as they call it, people were not the nicest people when they're traveling. When you're walking around, they were nice. English to Italian conversion was difficult at times, but most of the people had some capacity to do English. And the harder part was I have a Midwestern or a Yupper language, so it's hard for them to get used to my language. I understood them a little bit more. Good morning, Trey. I understood them a little bit more than Mary did. Mary had a difficult time communicating as well. But yeah, we took the train. It was about an hour, 10-minute train ride from Rome to the port. And I cannot say the name. It's like Civitavecchia or something like that is the name of the port. Got on the cruise, and I will say that was my second cruise ever. And I went on the Odyssey of the Seas, which is a little bit, it's like the third level of the Royal Caribbean ships. The first cruise I was on that second level on the Allure, which I believe is an Oasis class. And the ship that I was on was like one class lower than that. So it was a little bit smaller of a ship than what I was used to. But they still, they had one craps table. They had a ton of slot machines there. And good morning, Brian Fligo, checking in. Hello. And ton of slot machines. They had 3 roulette tables, a ton of poker and blackjack tables and that. So the craps table was very hard. It was easy to roll on. It had just a slight bounce, not much. It was a 12-foot table, but nobody, and Justice Jen kind of warned me of this, nobody knew how to play craps. I was the only person that knew how to throw the dice, even remotely with any kind of skill. And I only ran into maybe 2 of the people that actually knew how to play the game of craps. But people were coming in and out of the table nonstop, buying in mid-roll, not waiting for the puck to be turned off, asking questions while you're rolling the dice. Just all these different things were going on. So I left with $2,000. I ended up losing $1,000 on my rolls. I bounced between a $15 Horseman and the Skill 66 because it is a $10 table, and also the $40 DP, and then picking up three numbers playing Jacob Wager Me This style. So that's kind of what I ended up doing. I just could not get the timing down. I really could not get the timing down. If I was playing the Horseman or the $40 DP, they were picking off that DP, and not just once, like two, three times, and then I would stop playing the DP and just go light side, and then two rolls later, it was like they would seven out or whatever. I mean, it was just the timing I could not get down at all. I did, however, play probably like I was playing probably 2 to 3 hours a day for the first 3 days, and by then, Mary, you need 1,500 points to get a free cruise, and by then, Mary already had 5,000 points, and I was still at around hovering around that 1,000 mark. So she was just blowing me away with the cruise points and that, and so I stopped playing craps after the third day for 2 days, and during the first 3 days when I was playing craps, I probably rolled, I would say, probably 25, 30 times. I got to roll the dice. And of those 25, 30 times, I probably had 5 or 6 very short rolls. The majority of the rolls are somewhere in that 8 to 10 range. So where I made my money back, I was just starting to make some profit. And then it would seven out. And also during those first 3 days, I probably had 4 or 5 rolls that were in the low 20 range. And my confidence level wasn't great at that time. So I made profit off of those longer rolls, but it was not enough profit to bring me back. So by the end of that third day, I was down probably somewhere around $1,700. So I only had like $300 left for the trip and that. And I jumped over to slots for 2 days, got my 1,500 points. And that brought me to day number 6. Day number 6, I got back on the table, and again, I only had like $300 left of my bankroll in that. And then I went on a heater. I probably, and I did not count the rolls, it was probably in the high 30s, low 40s. And I built my bankroll from that $300 left back all the way up to $1,000. So I know after that roll, because I was down a little bit from some shooters prior to, but that roll alone, I know I brought in $745 back to the rack, plus tips and all that. So I was able to regress. I did the skill 66. I went in for 66 inside, went to 88 inside, went back down to 44 inside, built myself all the way up. So I had almost $600 on the table at that time. And luckily, I regressed my bets back down to 96 across. And then as soon as I did that, like one roll later, some dude steps up to the table and throws money down, like right one ready to throw a dice. So I put the dice down, I step back, and the dealer's like, "You can throw the dice, throw the dice, throw the dice," So I picked up the dice, set the dice again, and 2 rolls later, I sevened out. So I'm glad I regressed that second time when I did, so I got most of that money back to the rack. So again, like I said, profited $745 on that, so that brought me back up to that $1,000 mark. So ultimately, craps wise, it was a decent table. I just did not like the randomness of the people there. The lack of knowledge of the game of craps. It was not a very popular game compared to, say, baccarat or roulette were the two strong games there, where everybody was playing either roulette or baccarat. Some people were playing poker. They had a couple of poker tournaments there. So thank you, Ed. Thank you. If you're just joining in, the reason I'm doing a live stream like this is because my internet went out this morning, probably about 15 minutes before my show was ready to start. So I wanted to do something for you guys, saying I was going to be back today and do a show. So this is what you get. No internet, so I'm on data on my phone, so hopefully it's coming across decent. But please, in the chat here, put some questions, ask away, let me know what you're thinking, what you want to know about, how questions about the trip. We went to, like, the first day, 2 days, like I said, we were in Rome. We did the Vatican, which is, if you haven't been to St. Peter's Basilica, not Basilica, whatever the name of the church, St. Peter's, That is the most remarkable building I've ever been in. It was just beautiful. We did a tour of that in the Vatican museums, and there was something else that was included with that tour. And then went on a 7-day cruise, and then we came back to Rome for 2 days again at the end of the trip. And at that time, we actually had a Colosseum tour in Palatine Hills and something else booked. Um, Got to that tour, and they said they were closing Palatine Hills because there's some fashion show that Madonna and Cher was going to attend. So they actually closed on the Palatine Hills, so that was not part of my tour. But we did probably about an hour and a half, hour and three quarters inside of the Coliseum. If you haven't seen that, by all means, go and see that. Just an amazing thing. We had a tour guide that explained the history and everything. Things I didn't know about the Coliseum, like back in the day when the Coliseum was running, they actually had material that they could pull across the top of the Coliseum to enclose it. They had Navy people that would sit up in the top rows, and if it would start raining, they would actually close the top of the Coliseum so they could actually cover it. They also, one of the things I learned about the Coliseum is they would actually flood the Coliseum, and they had mock Navy battles in there, besides the gladiator type stuff. With the gladiator stuff, the platform of the Coliseum was actually wood, and they would put sand on top of it to soak up the blood and all that. And they also had these little simple elevator systems in the middle of the floor. So that way, if a gladiator was out there doing whatever they were doing, and they wanted to throw, like, say, a lion out in there, it would pop out of the middle of the floor at a variety of different areas. So that was kind of cool, something I didn't know. But in the last second, probably the day before we were ready to leave, the day we got back to Rome the second time, I figured out that I wanted to book another tour, and I wanted to see the catacombs, which is the underground tunnels below the city. And that. So I found a tour that did that, and that included a monk museum. So the monk museum kind of went through, and it talked about the history of Christianity and how it started and how it grew and all that stuff. And the cool thing about it was is they had we started in the monk museum, and they had a display there where the monks that lived there would die, and they were stacking them in wherever they were stacking them, and they're running out of room. So what they did is they took the bones of the monks, and if you look at my Facebook page, I have pictures of this. They took the bones of the monks, and they actually put them up as displays and designs all the way around the arch ceilings and the walls, and it was kind of morbid looking, or feeling, I should say, but it was actually really cool because the amount of art they put on the walls using people's bones, it was just amazing. So if you go on my Facebook page, it's Blue Collar Crops of CJ Way. I have a ton of pictures from the trip. We went to Santorini, Greece. We went to Kusadasi, Turkey. We went to Mykonos, Greece. We went to Naples, Italy. Naples, Italy was extremely dirty. I mean, just the amount of graffiti and litter that was all around the port. But we did get a chance to go into two small churches. Even the small churches were just remarkable. The paintings and the statues and everything that was is on the walls and the ceiling and the altars and all that stuff. Just amazing to look at. I'm not a huge religious person, but still, it is really cool to see. Good morning, Lazy Dog. No, I'm doing a live stream like this because for some reason my internet went out this morning, and I'm waiting for it to come back up. So this is what we got today. I might do a live stream later on today if my internet starts working again, and we'll do some rollouts. But if not, we'll try to be back tomorrow. So anyhow, the catacombs, and then we did that monk museum, and then we went to the catacombs. And the catacombs, if you don't know what they are basically underground tunnels that they built, and several cities throughout the world have them. But the ones in Rome were built just outside of the defensive walls. They had, by the way, the defensive walls were built in Rome back in the Roman times to protect the city. And the walls are probably 25, 30 feet tall, and they surrounded the entire city. They had like four major areas or gates that you can go through to get into the inner city. But the walls were 19.5 kilometers apart from each other. So a big circle, 1.5 kilometers in any direction, from wall to wall. And so a lot of the walls are still remaining, so I got to see that as well. But the catacombs are located outside the walls, and they did that, to prevent disease from spreading and the smell from spreading and all that stuff. And basically, the catacombs were tunnels that they dug underground to bury the people from Rome. And the walls of the catacombs were out of rock, and it was actually volcanic rock, and it was easy to not dig into, but chop into, or build into. So that way they had these shelves in there that were probably, I would say, about 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall, and it depended on how big the person was. They would cut into the stone depending on the size of the person, so lengthwise and that. And they would strip the people naked, wrap them in white cloth, and then they would stick them into these storage areas. And then what would happen is, after their bones would decompress, they would slam down, and that would give enough room to put another person in on top of them. And they just kind of, and these crypts were just, at one time, they didn't have any bones in there for us. They had relocated all those bones to a different area of the catacomb to get them out of the tourist area. But what would happen is they would decompose, and they would throw another body on top of it, so they would just have piles and piles and piles of bones in that. And they said there was 180 miles worth of tunnels underneath Rome in the catacombs, and it was basically their burial grounds, their funeral grounds. So it's really neat to see. Again, the food was amazing. Good morning, Kevin. I'm glad you made it here. I know you said you were maybe not going to make it. But anyhow, guys, ask any questions if you have. If not, we're going to wrap this up. We had 10 people watching, got 4 thumbs up. And again, this is kind of flying by the seat of my pants here this morning. Not what I expected to do. I actually expected to do a rollout. Again, my internet is down, so this is what we are resorting to, is a live stream this way. Hopefully, I'll have my internet working by tomorrow. We'll do a rollout like our normal level up, Bukhara Craps level programming at. But if we're watching my Facebook page, like I said, I threw a ton of pictures up there. Very expensive trip, but I will say this: it was well worth the trip, the money, the experience was very unique. Saw some very beautiful sights. I got to learn a little bit about the history of Rome. Spent some good quality time together with Mary. So I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better trip. The weather was a little bit warm. I learned a lot of different things, especially about the transportation in Rome. Using their metro system or their subway system, using their train system. We get to use the taxis. We did a ton of walking. In fact, the last day we were in Rome, we walked somewhere between 5 to 10 miles between all the tours and getting back to the hotel. Our hotel, when we got to Rome, we got picked up at the airport by a transport driver hired by the hotel, and it cost €55 to drive that hour from the airport to the hotel. We pulled this real narrow alley. Alley is probably big enough to have a small sidewalk that was about 1.5, 2 feet wide, and then one car could drive up it. And he drops us off in front of this wooden door, says your hotel's in there, gets in the car and takes off. And here's me and Mary just standing there like, what do we do? And we look at this wooden door, and it's closed, and there's a sign about this big, literally. It was about 1.5 feet wide, and about 8 inches tall. And it had the name of our hotel. And I'm like, okay, now what do we do? So we, Jerry Mitchell, sorry, I'm not doing my internet's out, so I'm on this stream here. So I can't do a rollout, at least not right now. Maybe later today we'll try to do it. So sorry about that. But anyhow, we found the hotel. We went through this wooden door. You had to go in this little mall or courthouse type area. Court area is an open area. And there was another door to one to the right. We go through that door, and then there's the old style elevator where you actually had to open the metal cage Opened the two doors. We pushed all our luggage in. Went to the first floor. We had to close the doors. And it was, I've only been in an elevator like that one other time, and I was in Chicago at some really old hotel. Went up to the first floor, and then we had to buzz in, and this housekeeper answered the door. And here I think we're getting into a hotel. This hotel actually had only 6 rooms. It was immaculate. It was very clean, but it was just basically a 6-room hotel. And she says, "Well, you're a little bit early. We get there around 11 o'clock tomorrow. We weren't supposed to check in until 1 o'clock." She goes, "But I'll get you a room right now." And she threw us in the room, checked out the room, and it was different. It was very different. Good morning, SJ. And yes, we did have a great trip. It really was really remarkable. Something I would recommend for everybody to do at least once. Get overseas, check these different countries out, see how people live. Try to figure out the transportation, eat some different foods. It was all remarkable in that. But that's about all that I really have here right now. Kevin says enjoyed the pictures. Again, every day I posted in my Facebook group, and how much did I win? I actually lost $1,000. Things were not going good at the table. It really wasn't. It was a decent table to throw at. Just the people that were there did not know anything about craps. People were throwing money down and putting their hands down onto the table as you're throwing the dice. People buying in mid roll, pucks on. You're just ready to throw a dice, and also throws a number our money on the table, so they'll stop the game, and be 5-10 minutes before you get to throw the dice again. And so I had some decent rolls. I had some not so decent rolls. I had one mega roll at the end that brought me back. I was down about $1,700, and I made like over $700 on that one roll at the end. So I was really happy about that. And that was on day number 6 that we left on the morning of day number 8. So day number 7, I didn't really play at all, because we had an early departure time on that last day. We had to get off the ship at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So I chose to have a little bit of sleep before we did our 23-hour journey back rather than play craps. So probably could have played and got a little bit more money back in it. But majority of the time it was either me or like 2 or 3 people at the table. I got the dice back quite often. There was one session that I did where people just kept on passing the dice back to me. And one of the weird things with that was, since there's so few people playing, we were actually able to throw the dice a lot faster. And I was actually throwing it faster at the table than what I do during my show here. And I usually have a pretty good clip going on in my show here. But anyhow, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And like I said, if you have any questions, please ask away. I'll give you guys a couple minutes or a couple seconds here to ask some questions and that. And if not, we'll wrap it up, and then we'll try to get our internet working here so we can actually do a rollout tomorrow. Jerry goes, whoa. So yeah, it was not, other than winning a free trip. I won a free trip. Yeah, here's the ring. That's been on my finger for the last month or so. This one I've had in my hand for a long time. You guys have seen this on the video, on my videos and that. But thank you, Jerry. It's pretty simple ring. Mary, on the other hand, I ended up the trip with 1,700 points. You need 1,500 to get a free trip, a free cruise. Mary, on the other end, ended up with over 7,000 points. She was up by day 3, up like 5,000 points already. She was just doing slots the entire time. She had a hand pay on one of them, so it was a $1,400 win. And then she had a couple of different wins that were like around $1,000 or $1,200. So she was able to keep on pumping money in. She only lost $500 during the entire trip and came out with a free junior suite for 2 people. So she got a free cruise for that. So yeah, she was bragging to, I got to the end of day number 5 before I actually won the cruise for myself. And I broke my bankroll up, like I said, into $285 a day. And at the end of that fifth day, I was like 50 points shy of winning that cruise. And I had spent my money for the day. And and Mary goes, "Give me your card, give me a card." So she got me the last 50, 60 points to get me my cruise. And she goes, "See, I won you the cruise. It's all me. I did it for you." I just start laughing, like, whatever. And she has not let me down ever since. Every day, "Hey, I won you the cruise. I won you the cruise. I won you the cruise." And I'm like, whatever, Mary. um, but the last 2 days, then I added another 300 points or so, and no, 200 some points onto my winnings by playing craps. And Jerry's asking how the weather was. The first week was unbearably hot. It was in the mid to high 90s the entire time. Very high humidity. Once we got on the cruise, it went down to probably mid 80s, so it was very comfortable. Uh, we didn't have any shore excursions at all the different ports. We just basically got off the ship and walked around, which I actually enjoyed. I really did. We got to get off the ship probably for anywhere between an hour to 5 hours each port that we're in, and just walked around the town and saw what was going on. Got some gelato at a couple of the places, which if you guys haven't had gelato, their ice cream is just amazing on the gelato. The food, I was not overly impressed with the pizza. I think we have better pizza here in Wisconsin than we did in Italy. The pasta, I got a lot of either tortellini or I had fettuccine alfredo, and their sauce is not as thick as we have here. We have a creamier, cheesier sauce here. It was a little more runnier. Pasta was awesome, though. It really was good. We had some calzones. We had cannolis, and they had another different breakfast uh, type dessert type thing. If you go into my Facebook thing again, like I said, and you can check out all the different things we did with that. I have pictures of all that. Jerry's asking if I got seasick at all. I did not, although there was one day they changed our ports around. We were supposed to go from Santorini, Greece to Mykonos, and then from Mykonos to Kusadasi, Turkey. And for some reason, the port of call arrangements they had did not work. So we went from Santorini to Kusadasi, Turkey, and then went back to Mykonos. So they changed the order of that, and in order to do that, they had to go faster with the ship. Well, they had high winds, big waves, and we were going at 25 miles an hour on the ship. I forget what it was, like 30 some knots or whatever it was. So we were like this the whole time, trying to stand. And it was funny. It looked like we were all drunk, even though I did not have one drop of alcohol the entire trip. Mary did not drink either. She made prime by day number 3, so she could have got free drinks in the casino. She chose not to, so props to her. She did good at that. But no, I did not get seasick at all. It was close on that one day. The jet lag was not bad for me, but Mary had a very difficult time with that. Um, we got Scott Wildlife Craps. He goes, pizza and sauce is not authentic here mostly. That's why he thought it wasn't great. Actually, if you live around my area, Wisconsin, there's a lot of Italian restaurants and places that actually are very authentic. People that actually came from Italy. Um, and I actually like their sauces on some of those pizzas. The sauces on the pizzas in Rome is a very sweet uh, tomato-based sauce for the pizzas. They didn't have beef or pepperoni or any of that type of stuff on it. Most of their Italian foods had ham, believe it or not. They used ham as one of their meats. And the pizza that I got was actually salami, and that was probably the closest that they can get to pepperoni. So it was salami in there. But like I said, the sauces, the white sauces, the Alfredos it's more creamier here, more cheesier here, especially in Wisconsin. I make an excellent Alfredo sauce. It was a good sauce there, but it was a little bit runnier. It wasn't quite as thick. So anyhow, that's about all that I have here. Any other questions? If not, we're going to wrap this up really quick. Again, hopefully my internet will be working tomorrow so I can do a show. I will schedule it as if we have a show coming up. So thank you, Jerry. Trip was good for me. I only gained 2 pounds, even though it feels like I gained 10. But yeah, I lost a lot of weight prior to, and I have a lot of weight hopefully that'll be coming off in the next 6 months before my son's wedding as well. I was down 45 pounds before the trip, and I have another 55 to go before January. So I'll be a tiny Joe. It will no longer be the mid size Joe. It'll be a tiny size Joe. So, but okay, I think that's about it. We are 35 minutes into the stream here, and I will hopefully be back tomorrow. Again, if you guys have questions, make sure you ask tomorrow on that. There was a question right here. No PSL. Good morning. He said, what strategies was I using? I was using a $15 horseman strategy, and I also did a $40 DP with placing 3 numbers at minimum levels, and I also did the skill 66. That was the 3 main strategies that I used, and I could not get the time of the table down. So I mean, it was if I was playing dark side, they were knocking the DPs off. Or knocking all my comebacks off. If I was playing light side, the rolls were short. I just couldn't get the time of the table down to make any money. So I ended up $1,000 down for the trip. Again, I went with 2,000. I was willing to lose 2,000, so I came back with half my money. So I guess that's a success, especially since my last roll, I got over half that money back with over $700 in that last roll that I made just on myself. And the nice thing with that roll is I was the only one at the table, so I was able. And I was using the all 7 set, and I was using a hardware set for most of the trip, and I just could not get consistent rolls. That last roll that I did, I used the kissing set, so I took the 5-4-5-4, and all I did is I switched it around, so it's 5-4-5-3, so it's the kissing aces, I believe. And that's the one that I had the huge roll with. So he said it was in the high 30s, maybe even low 40s. I'm not even sure, but it went on forever. And I would throw the dice, and literally 30 seconds later, they were pushing it back, the dice back to me, and I'm throwing again. So I got a nice rhythm going on, all that stuff. They were, yes, extremely strict on the back wall, and I would say of all the throws I had, I did not hit the back wall maybe 6 times through all the throws I did, and half of those were 7s, and they did not count them. So that was a pretty cool thing to do that. So no PS goes pretty good, free cruise out of it, and you get all the exercise of throwing and so much. Yeah, that was exactly it. I got a free cruise, and I have $100 in free play on the next cruise that I go into. So I can either choose a 4-day cruise for 2 people for free, or I could do a 7-day cruise for just myself. That's what I want, and $100 of free play. Mary won a junior suite and $700 of free play. Plus, she can bring a 7-day cruise for 2 people. So she's gonna probably bring her daughter along and make that a graduation gift for high school and that. So. Brian's asking if there's any different rules compared to Vegas standards. The rules of the table was a $10 table. It was a $500 max bet. They did not have any side ATS or nothing like that. They did have the hops on a table. The hardways or any of the hop bets had to be in $2 increments, not a $1 increment. So that was probably one of the biggest switches there. Cherry says he's available if I need a buddy for a cruise. No, her son actually wants to go with me too. So if I choose the 4-day cruise, Mary's gonna have to do a 4-day cruise. Then we'll go with the 4 of us. I'm actually thinking about doing a 4-day cruise in November just by myself, and no, 7-day cruise. I forget what it was. Just by myself in November. And I'm going to try to meet up with Brian from Holy Rollers. That might be one of the options. I don't know. I'm going to look today. I did do the next cruise $200 deposit, so I get the $100 in free play. And yeah, $2 minimum hop bets. It was that. So let's say I did the quarter pounder with cheese with ease, as Brian goes. Quarter pounder with ease. It would, instead of hopping at the five for $1 a piece, I would have to hop it for $2 a piece. So it would have been $4 investment on that five. Which I did do a couple times, and I'm glad I did because it did pay out, you know. So instead of getting $15, I got the $30 on the fives that was thrown in it. Other than that, no, the rules are pretty much the same. Field was $10 minimum on the cruise. So about a month and a half, 2 months ago, they changed the rules. It used to be you could do $1 on the field, you do $1 hop bets, and they changed it. It had to be $2 hop bets or $2 hardways, and the field has to be a minimum bet of $10, and then the table is a $10 minimum with all the place numbers and that. Again, no ATS bets, no repeaters, no fire bets, none of that on the Royal Caribbean ships. So they also used to have, you could do even odds on your pass line and don't pass line unless you did like a quarter level or $50 or $100 level. And they changed that. So now it's all 3, 4, 5 times odds, no matter what your bet level was. So that was nice. Brian's asking if I did the VIG up front or on the lay bets. I did not do any lay bets, but they did do the VIG up front on your buy bets, like on the 4 and 10. So you know, $20 is $1, dollar VIG. Was I regressing a lot? Yes, I was, Jerry. I was, the times I could do the skill 66 and get out of the shooter, I would regress, you know, and then I would start progressing up from there. That last roll, I did regress twice during my roll. So I was able to get that second regression, which was nice because I did the 7-0 about 4 rolls later. So I pulled about $500 off the table during that regression. Brian wants to know if there's auto buy on 4 and 10. Yeah, it wasn't so much an auto buy as they, you know, if you were $20 or more, they just said, hey, throw me $1, you know. So that was kind of what they did with the buy bets on the 4 and 10. Whereas Vegas, they do the VIG after, I think, at most of the casinos, so that would be considered a real auto buy. So yeah, you could buy it at $20 on the ship there, and they would just charge you $1 right up front then. And that's similar to what happens to me in Green Bay, Oneida Casino and Bingo, where where's my home casino is at. So, any other questions at all? But you can see my eyes are really tired yet. It's I actually had no jet lag over there because I'm a third shifter, so I fit in pretty good. But coming back, I've actually been very tired and trying to get caught up here on the way home. So that's where I got the jet lag. And Mary's doing fine coming home, but going there, she had a very difficult time for most of the trip. So I don't see anything else coming through here. So I will hopefully be back with a regular show tomorrow, everyone. Hopefully my internet is working by then. Like you said, I apologize for today for doing a live stream like this, but it did go out over 15 minutes before my shows. Actually, I had the table and everything set up, so everything is set up here, ready to go. I had my computer on, my monitor on, all my cameras were working. So yeah, Jerry goes, sounds like I had a great time. I had a great time. It was that's all that matters. I could fit through the hallways, Brian, yes, but the streets, the amount of scooters that people were driving there, it was probably 1/3 of the vehicles are scooters, and the rest of them are regular vehicles. And when I say regular, I use that term loosely because their vehicles were tiny. They had a lot of those smart cars there that basically fit 2 people, so that way they can, because parking is a commodity in Rome, so they would pull up into a parking spot instead of going sideways like we always do. They could actually back in up against the curb with those really tiny vehicles. Driving wise, there was no way in hell I could have drove there because the roads were so tiny and they were so packed with people, and the traffic was just unreal. They were amazing drivers. I will give them props on their driving capabilities. Anybody from the United States here would have been lost, and they would have been terrible at driving over Rome. I will say that they were remarkable drivers, and just Walking wise, if you cross the street, you just step out and the car's just like magically came to a stop. So you just walk off the curb and start walking. You didn't worry about they would stop for you. So that was a unique experience as well. Or here you step out from the street, you're gonna get run over. There, they would slam on the brakes, almost screeching to a halt, so you could walk across in that. So, thank you, Kay Fisher. Yeah, best meal. I would probably say the tortellini was the best for me. Tortellini Alfredo. I tried tortellini Alfredo. I tried penne Alfredo. I tried fettuccine Alfredo. I tried calzones. I actually make a better calzone, I think, than what they did over there. Tried pizza. We tried cannolis. There was another dessert thing that we tried to start with an M. I can't remember what it was. We did gelato, which was awesome. So gelato was really good. That was pretty much what I did. Had a lot of, like I said, ham was the biggest meal that meat that they put into their meals and that. But they also, a lot of them had fish that was in their Italian food, which I could not bring myself to try. I really couldn't. So, but you were very welcome there, Jerry. Feels like you were there. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, I will be back tomorrow, guys. Hopefully 8 o'clock Central Time with an actual rollout. Hopefully my internet's working by then. But until tomorrow, hey, my name is Joe. This is my Craftsmaster Dice Shooting Journey. Let's make it yours too. Everybody have a great day. Be safe and be prosperous.